Keek on the mic, keek on the mic, keek on the mic, keek on the mic. People, this the intro. Sacramento, California, born and raised. And Antelope is where I spend most of my days. Talk bad about my team, you must be a clown. This is Keek on the mic, so you know you better bear down. Bear down.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. Like always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you stay connected with Keek on the Mic by following me on all my social media platforms as well. I hope you guys all had a very Merry Christmas, enjoyed time spending with your family, and watching all the NFL football games this past weekend. Obviously, yet another loss for the Chicago Bears, as they dropped to 3-12 after losing 35-13 to the Buffalo Bills. But obviously, no surprise, the Buffalo Bills were obviously the better team, and they proved that Saturday in Chicago. But there is some good news about that loss for the Chicago Bears after losing to the Buffalo Bills, and after the Houston Texans came away with the upset win over the Tennessee Titans on Saturday. The Chicago Bears are now only a half game back. Yes, a half game back of landing the number one overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft. And obviously, it sucks to see your team lose, but this is an awesome development because just a couple of weeks ago, I thought there was absolutely no chance that the Chicago Bears could actually land the number one overall pick. And now it's actually a possibility. So today on the podcast, let's talk about how the Chicago Bears can actually secure the number one overall pick with only 2 weeks left to go in the NFL season. So this is how the Bears can land the top pick in the NFL draft. If the Bears lose out, so if the Chicago Bears lose not only to the Detroit Lions on Sunday in the final game against the Minnesota Vikings at home, and the Houston Texans just win one of their final two games, the Chicago Bears would hold the rights to the number one overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft. The reason being is because the Houston Texans have that tie on their record. So that would give the Houston Texans a better winning percentage than the Chicago Bears. So for example, let's say that the Chicago Bears and the Houston Texans ended up having both 3 wins. The Chicago Bears would leapfrog the Houston Texans to hold the number one overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft. And obviously, this is very realistic. Obviously, the Chicago Bears have already lost to the Detroit Lions and Minnesota Vikings. Those games are going to be tough games for the Chicago Bears, especially since we're very thin in the secondary. A lot of injuries for the Chicago Bears. And also considering that both the Detroit Lions and Minnesota Vikings are still very well fighting for playoff positioning, especially the Detroit Lions. This is a huge game for the Lions this week against the Chicago Bears to keep their playoff hopes alive. So these are going to be 2 tough games within the division for the Chicago Bears to win. But obviously, when you look at the Houston Texans, they have been playing very competitive football. Obviously, they almost knocked off the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, they beat the Tennessee Titans. And when you look at the Houston Texans' final 2 games, they play the Jaguars, which they already beat the Jaguars this season. Obviously, the Jacksonville Jaguars are playing a lot better football as of late, but that's obviously a winnable game. And then to end the season, the Houston Texans take on the Colts, which obviously when you look at the Colts, they're not a very good football team at all. Obviously, the Houston Texans are playing with the utmost confidence. So that's obviously a winnable game as well. So Bears fans, once again, I'm going to repeat this until I'm blue in the face. There is a very realistic chance that the Chicago Bears at the end of the season will hold the number one overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft. And of course, the Houston Texans can decide to say, you know what, we're just going to absolutely blow it. We're going to lose on purpose, knowing that the number one pick is at risk. But personally, I don't think that's the case, especially with the way that the Houston Texans have been playing the last couple of weeks. I don't think they're just going to go out there and lay down and lose on purpose just to get the number one overall pick, right? And that same thing goes for the Chicago Bears. They can easily ruin all this by beating the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings, right? Back-to-back weeks, and then we'll just probably hold the number 2 overall pick, which is also good as well. So this is all hypothetical. If this happens, but obviously if the cards fall for the Chicago Bears, which obviously it's very realistic, the Chicago Bears are 3-12. They're on a 10-game losing streak, right? So it's very realistic the Bears lose out and the Houston Texans just win one more game to give the Chicago Bears advantage in landing the top pick in the NFL draft. And obviously, Bears fans, landing the number 1 overall pick would be absolutely huge for Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears, especially considering that we already have our quarterback in Justin Fields. I know there may be a lot of trolls that come on this podcast and comment down below and say, well, you guys still need a quarterback. Justin Fields is the guy. Shut up. Fast forward on this video, because the Bears already have their quarterback. So if we land the number 1 overall pick, what does that mean, Bears fans? That means the quarterback needy teams will want to trade up. That means Ryan Poles will be able to have a bidding war to get hopefully a massive haul if he does in fact decide to trade down, if in fact the Bears do land the number 1 overall pick. And I personally think if we did land the top pick in NFL draft, that Ryan Poles would decide to trade down to land a massive haul of picks to upstart this rebuild for the Chicago Bears. And obviously a fun fact about the number 1 overall pick, it's only been traded 4 times. Only 4 times. I personally think that Ryan Poles would make it the 5th time in NFL history. And obviously the Bears are in a business to build through the NFL draft, and that would give Ryan Poles ammunition to do just that, right? And fulfill his vision of building through the NFL draft. And once again, I feel like the needy quarterback teams would want to trade up to get like a CJ Stroud or a Bryce Young. So the Bears would be able to play their cards and maybe trade down and get hopefully a massive haul of picks to once again upstart their rebuild. And Bears fans, I say this because I am a true Bears fan, right? And of course, I always want to see the Chicago Bears win and be competitive, which for the most part, they've been pretty competitive, even against the game against the Buffalo Bills. In the first half, we were up 10-6, right? So they were playing competitive football in the first half, and then they just absolutely imploded in the second half. So I don't want to see the Chicago Bears lose. I still want to see them play competitive football. I don't want to see them tank, but obviously, if the cards fall right for the Chicago Bears and we land the number 1 overall pick, you're damn right I will be very happy, because I understand that this would absolutely help upstart our rebuild. It would be a massive deal for the Chicago Bears and Ryan Poles. It would put Ryan Poles in a very good situation to help start this rebuild and to help starting putting good pieces around Justin Fields. But obviously, landing the number 1 overall pick would be just a very special opportunity for the Chicago Bears. And absolutely, if you land the number 1 pick, you can just trade down to number 3. You can land a massive haul of picks, right, to upstart your rebuild, and you would still be able to land a guy like Will Anderson Jr. Or Jalen Carter. So these next 2 weeks are going to be huge. So I just want you guys to keep a close eye on the Chicago Bears and Houston Texans, because at this point, they're obviously both out of the playoff picture, but there's going to be huge implications from both of these teams as it pertains to landing a number 1 overall pick. So we'll see what happens after these next 2 weeks. I'm excited to see what happens, because obviously if we land a number 1 overall pick, that would be huge for Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears. Before I let you guys go, let me ask you guys this. Do you guys think the Bears will end up with the number 1 overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft? Let me know down below in the comment section. Before I let you guys go, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms. Make sure you share this episode of Kick on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, back for all new Bears podcasts right here on Kick on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic.